In my last video I set up DIY BMS. Now I need to progress with configuration and checking of the modules. The first thing we need to do is to confirm if the voltages measured by each modules are correct. I will need to identify each module, and then I will need to measure the voltage of the batteries and calibrate the modules. So to do this, we're gonna go to the modules, wait till it's refreshed the page, and now we have all our 4 modules. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to identify module number 1, and you can see LEDs remaining on the module number 1, and all other LEDs are off. So we know this is our module number 1, and we will need to calibrate this module by measuring the voltage of the cell. So I need to be extremely careful because this battery is more or less open, and it's measuring 3.84 volts. So 3.84. So I will go to configure, and this one is 3.837. I'll put 3.84, calculate, and it does calculate the calibration multiplier. And now we can save the settings. Okay, so this module now is not available, and hopefully when it does next refresh, yes, so 3.843, that's what it's showing us, 834. So this is the module number 0. Okay, so we've done the first one. So now we're gonna go back to modules again. Okay, and now we're gonna identify module, oops, it's refreshing. Now let's identify module number 1, and now we can see that it's got solid blue LED on this module here. So this is our module number 1, which makes sense because that was module number 0. So now we need to follow module number 1 and find the cell that is monitoring. Well, that's roughly what it shows at the moment, 3.936. And the last one we don't need to identify, but just for fun, yeah, you can see that it's displaying LED to identify the module. And now we can measure this last cell and see what the voltage we're getting. 3.96. 3.96. Okay, so let's do configure. 3.96, calculate, calibration multiplier, save settings. So it's not available for a minute, and let's wait for the next refresh, and we do have 3.96. So now if we go home, we now see the true representation of our module state. Okay, so now as you can see, DIY BMS just shows the voltages, but is actually not balancing, because I believe when it starts balancing, one of these cells will go red. It will start balancing when I will start charging the battery, so it does top balance the modules. I need to start charging this module now. And one of the issues I have is that I only have 4 cells connected. So this is cell number 1, number 2, number 3 and number 4. So effectively those 2 cells with 4 modules in parallel, I do need to disconnect them. So basically a little bit of a snipping action is in order. Right, you have to be really careful with these things, because if they fly off and short something off, that will not be nice. Okay, this will now become our minus for charging. Now we need to attach our charging cables. So this one will be plus and this one will be minus. Okay, so I'm going to use these cables to start charging. We have 4 modules, 4.2 each. So 4.2 multiplied by 4, it will be 18.6. Okay, so we left it at 18.6, and it will go to first do constant current and then constant voltage. I connected my charging cables while generating a bit of a spark on the way, and after that DIY BMS started to balance cells. At the same time, I have noticed that my limit was set at 4.1 volts, and that resulted in the fact that DIY BMS tried to balance all the cells that I had. Each module that was doing the balancing was eliminating red LED. As DIY BMS was constantly balancing those cells, temperature very quickly reached the limit of 66 degrees C, and that resulted in the particular cell going into bypass mode. I've just noticed that my bypass threshold was 4100, which is 4.1 volts. I actually wanted to try increase the bypass temperature to 70 and bypass threshold to 4200. So if I save settings, now look at home, see now we are only balancing this module here because it's above our bypass threshold, and these ones are not balanced anymore. So this makes sense, and we can see at the moment only red LED flashing on this module, where it now stopped. I think it's reached 4.2 volts. Now I'm testing a new LCD screen that I've just installed. We're just gonna power on the DIY BMS. So you can see it's powering up and goes through the initialization process. So we have green LEDs on, so it's initialized and it's waiting for modules. So once the modules are connected, we will see on the screen the voltage of the pack, modules temperature, and how many modules are actually balancing. So at the moment we can see that none of the modules are balancing because my charger is not on. So if I now turn the charger on, you can see the red LEDs on the modules come on, which basically means that some of the modules beginning to balance. So it still says module balancing 0, and now we have 3 modules that are balancing. Excellent. So now we have the display as well, so this can be easily monitored without the computer. So our DIY BMS experiment is ready. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.